everyone, it's Ms. Lopez. In this video, I'm going to talk about the rubric to grade the FRQ practice on estrogen. So let's get started. Estrogens are small hydrophobic lipid hormones that promote cell division and the development of reproductive structures in mammals. Estrogens passively diffuse across the membrane and bind to the receptor proteins in the cytoplasm of target cells. This question is from an older exam and has been is not quite aligned with the FRQ new styles. However, it is still content-wise material you need to know. So let's take a look at what parts A and B are asking. Part A asks to describe one characteristic of the plasma membrane that allows estrogen to passively cross the membrane. So in this question, or in this prompt, it's testing or assessing your understanding of the structure of the plasma membrane. Since in the prompt or in the stimulus, they gave us information about the estrogens being small and hydrophobic, that is our clue as to why the estrogen was able to cross the plasma membrane. Now, the part of the plasma membrane that would normally block substances from crossing is the phospholipid, specifically the hydrophobic tails. So since estrogens are small and hydrophobic, they are able to pass through the plasma membrane. Part A would have been worth 1 point. In Part B, it asks, in a laboratory experiment, a researcher generates proteins that bind to purified estrogen receptors extracted from cells. The researcher uses the proteins in an attempt to treat estrogen-dependent cancers, but finds that the treatment is ineffective. Explain the ineffectiveness of the proteins for treating the cancers. For explain questions, remember that we always ask students to give 3 ideas or 3 bullet points worth of information in their answers. So the first thing we're going to do is address the ineffectiveness of the proteins. So why didn't the proteins help treat the cancers? That's because the protein never reached the cancer or were never able to go in and bind to the receptors of those cancer cells. So then it helps students to make sure that they explain fully the answer by asking themselves why. So the question is, well, why didn't the protein reach the receptors inside the cancer cells? That's likely because the proteins were not able to cross the membrane. And then I always tell students to ask themselves why one more time. So why isn't that the proteins couldn't cross the membrane? Well, given that we've got very little information on this, there's 2 reasons why the proteins couldn't cross the membrane. We're not sure which of these is the reason, but this is generally reason why something will not be able to cross the membrane. It's either too large or it's polar. In this case, you didn't have to put that it's too large or polar. You could simply say that the protein was too large to cross the membrane, or you could say that the protein was charged or polar, and that's why it didn't cross the membrane. So you didn't need both of these. You needed just one. In a question like this, it would be worth 3 points. I hope you guys found this video helpful. Thanks so much for watching.